Welcome to our program, Jump Into It, a podcast and live show to help entrepreneurial-minded women jump into a better life. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited today. We have with us Leah Xydia. She is a healer and a channeler, formerly a principal of a school. So she has really transformed herself, and she's going to talk about the journey. And the title of our podcast today is Prosperity Pathways: How to Build an Abundant Life and Business with Intuitive Guidance. Thank you so much, Leah, for joining us. And we're so thrilled about having you here, and our guests are as well. So, Leah, can you tell us a little bit about, I think, in the business world, we're all driven by profitability, having a better lifestyle, to have more fulfillment in what we do, how our intuitive side of us can lead us into having a more fulfilled life with our business and with ourselves.
That is a really awesome question, and it's really layered. Like, Spirit is just showing me onion, and it's funny because that's come up a lot in the past couple of days in a lot of different contexts. So I'll ask kind of where to start. And so they're saying that intuition really is a place that is in your heart. Okay. And so I don't want to go too airy-fairy and sort of flowery with the language. So I'm going to try and give like really concrete examples, or ask for those at least. And they're saying that what you really, really have to do is get in tune with yourself on a really deep level, what it is that you want more than anything. And in the moment, it might just be like this massive yacht. And you're okay, I want a massive yacht. But what is it about the yacht? Okay, so you're on the yacht and you're feeling what? Because it's in that feeling and in that vibration that manifestation starts to happen. Do you understand? But what happens is, when we have learned, like from The Secret and all the things that people have told us, they believe that it's our thoughts that like create all of that. But in reality, it's multi-layered. We manifest and we create abundance by being in, they're saying, in congruence with all the different layers of ourselves. So that means that on our emotional level, what is it that we truly, truly want? So when I got in 2019, when everything sort of crashed and burned for me, I had to get like really honest with myself and say, what is it that I really needed? Like, because I had lost a lot in 2019. And Spirit does this. If you don't listen the first 50 times they come into your life, by the time the 51st time comes, they really want to pull the rug out from under you. So within within 6 months, I lost like health, career, relationship, family, friendships, even my dog died. Okay. Like that, was like within 6 months. And in those moments, I had to say, what do I want? And the first time around, you know what I said? I want to go back to work, because all I cared about was, I need to make sure I have a roof over my head for my children. I have to, I've got all this money that I need. I've got 2 kids going to university, blah, blah, all of those thoughts, right? Blah, blah, blah. So I did what I had to do, and I worked as hard as I could. And Spirit tried their best to sort of get me to slow down and get me to really listen to my heart and do all of those things. And when I didn't, and I went back to work, within 6 months, I crashed again. And this time there was no other place for me to go but to really listen. And I realized in that moment what I wanted was health. And I wanted people around me that gave back as much as I give. And anything else from there would be extra and above. And so that's where I started healing. And when I got really, really honest with myself, the journey started, right? And then I got to here where I am now. And I'm certainly not like in this massive place of abundance yet, but I'm not crashing and burning like I was 5 years ago. And all of that.
Leah, I'm going to jump in. I want to kind of steer us in a direction for our audience to maybe understand a little bit better your gifts, because I know Gabrielle and I, of course, we met with you and had our own personal sessions with you, but maybe you should take us back a little bit about when it was that I recall you telling us a little bit about you being a child and growing up and maybe not acknowledging these gifts that I think as children we have, but as we get older, life sort of gets in the way, and that's that message from our inner guidance and that higher self, and maybe the angels and so forth, they don't have as much say in those, I want to say, those formative years, because we do everything to block it out, whether that's through the social upbringing and how we're told.
Do we though? Is that true? Is that true? I just want to challenge that. Is that
Yeah,
true
I
that
don't know. I
the
think so,
formative
but
years we're blocking out angels? I thought children were more
well, children,
open-minded.
but then you become an adult. So you start going into your 13s, and those are your formative years as you're growing. That's when I think the
Okay,
block
so you're
happens.
saying
But
as a
maybe Leah could,
teenager. Okay.
yeah, yeah, more in your teenage years. But that's again something that I've, personally think, but I don't have proof. So Leah, this is your opportunity to share what you think around that and what happened for you as you came into this gift in later life for yourself.
So for myself, yeah, I was very open and intuitive, like early on. I come from a lineage or from a family that has this perceptional ability, is kind of what I'm calling it. Like it's a perceptional ability sort of beyond what we see, hear, feel, like, that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, I came from also a family that had a lot of trauma. And that trauma made communication and guidance and support and those kinds of things very difficult. So while they talked about spirit and they talked about that, they never made a connection for me to understand what it was going on. So basically what they were doing is they would tell ghost stories, right? They would say, these were the things that I saw, and I would hear them very, very young. And then when these things would happen to me, I mean, I was terrified. So very early on, those things shut down. I think the last time I remember hearing from my team and like having a connection, I think I was probably on my way to the first day of school in grade 6. So how old are you? Like, I should know this off the top of my head. 12?
11, yeah.
And that was the
Okay.
last time, because there was something that was coming and they wanted me to know about it. And that was, from what I could remember, the last time. And then trauma again, that you heard 2019, bang, 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 it just opened up again. And it opened up
Can
again.
you talk about the trauma that happened in 2019?
Yeah, well, it was all of those. So I got very, very sick, right? I had been getting
Okay.
ill from around 2017. I could get progressively sicker, and we couldn't find out what was wrong with me. But in hindsight, I was also a single mom of 2 very high functioning children that also had a lot of, like, what I call them, my alphabet soup kids, right? Like, so there was like LD, ADHD, like all of those little things, but like also
Okay,
super
yeah.
high functioning. But there's just extra parenting there, right? And then I'm also career driven, doing the whole, principal track, and in a relationship that would have mimicked a lot of my relationships at that point, which was very one-sided and me give, right? And so I think a lot of us, especially if we're women, can identify with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're giving out all this energy all the time, and your body's starting to wear out, and it was wearing out for years, and I just blew past all the signs. Drank more coffee, got more sleep, took more sleeping pills, got on the antidepressant, like all of that stuff, right? And then in 2019, I remember it was like the 3rd or 4th day of school, and I, was at a meeting in the morning. I had gone to the gym, like I was crazy. I got up at like 5, went to the gym because of course you're a woman, you have to look a certain way. And so, went to the gym, went to my morning meeting at 7 a.m. That was like, high stress, making these really high-end decisions for the board. then running into the school at 10, took my coat off. The coat kind of went to the floor and my body went down with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it, so
Yeah.
when I tell you they took me out, they took me
Yeah.
out, right? And then
Wow. Wow.
I didn't return to work again for I get 2 years, tried again, and it just, just again.
Did you ever hear or there's a book called Women That Love Too Much?
Yeah, absolutely. That
And
was a very early part of my journey. Yeah.
mine too. Mine
Mhm.
too. Isn't that?
Yeah.
And at the end of the book, they say if you don't do anything, it will kill you. Giving
Absolutely.
of yourself will eventually kill you. That
Absolutely.
to me was the biggest wake up call. So when you're telling your story, it just reminds me of the book and so many stories in the book of women that have given too much of their lives and
Absolutely.
have, yeah.
And what
And
Spirit is just saying to me now is that there's a surface level understanding of this, right? And they're saying we go to therapy to understand this, right? They're saying we read books to understand this. But
right.
all of that is, they're saying it's mental. What we don't ever get to is, again, they're laughing because they always do this in readings. They always bring it right back around, is the heart of it, right? And they're saying they're chuckling because we talked about going to your heart at the beginning of all of this. Is in the heart of it is there's something within you that is causing a cycle and a pattern of behavior. And until you get to the soul level of what that cycle, and it's hard, right? Because I'll tell you what usually happens, it's something really early or it's something very traumatic. And it's something that we don't really want to dive into. And so we have to clear that on an energetic level from our body. And that's something that Western medicine doesn't talk about. Like, I know it sounds,
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
true.
of people are
It's
going to
true.
say, oh, now
Well,
she's going up, but they don't talk about it. It's
they
It's
trauma.
don't
true.
If you
talk
read
about it,
books,
Leah, but they also don't allow the opportunity for, I guess for discussion to your point. And that energy is sort of squashed down, right? So that's what's getting you sick, to your point. You're not hearing it. But I don't know if a lot of us, and I say us as women, get to that point. So it does it have to take you getting sick for us to understand that there's, more happening that can cause, many blockages in our lives. Like I just wonder, do we ever, I mean, some of us get there, but do we really get there? I guess
well,
is
I
my
think that
question.
the spirit's just reminding me that sickness doesn't have to be in a physical level, right? Sickness
Mm-hmm.
can happen on a lot of different levels. Sickness can happen. They're just bringing me unhappiness. They're saying unhappiness as a collective right now is massive around the world.
Yeah, it is.
That's a
It's
sickness.
yeah, I can feel you can feel it wherever you go, the people you meet, right? You can feel it in the shopping in the area. There's enormous amount of unhappiness in the air.
Yeah.
Leah,
Yeah.
I wanted to take back a little bit because our listeners may be wondering, they're saying this, they're saying
Okay.
that. Like we haven't talked about when you're referencing and it's not yourself that you're referencing what's happening there when
What's
you're
going
having that
on?
conversation.
Who's she talking to?
You know what you're talking to? What's
Right? Oh my God, she's
what's
crazy.
the they, them, and there?
She's crazy. Okay. So I work under the premise, and if you come for a reading with me, this is how I start out my readings. I work under the premise that we all have come incarnated into this lifetime with a team. We were with this team on the other side before we came into this lifetime. And we are supposed to be able to work with them. So this very much, they're saying, circling back to a question that you had before, which was like, how do people know how to use their intuition, right? We get cut off from that. So we get cut off from this team that we come here with, that we're supposed to innately have a connection to, because we have trauma, because we have heartbreak, because we eat food that is in like chemically and toxically bad for us. And listen, I am nowhere near like perfect on that like level at all. Like it's a daily struggle. I'm totally human. But we've got frequencies and the energies that we use, like in everything in like our, like it's just, think about it, like the cell towers and all of that. So
Yeah.
our team, it's really, really hard to hold that connection these days. And some people were born with their path being such that that wouldn't have mattered, that none of those things were going to be a problem for them because they needed to have a connection to spirit to do their job. So that would have been like the old time mediums and the old time psychics. They came in, they had a job to do, and they connected to spirit to make, like, just, they had to anchor it almost, they're saying. I work with a team now that is very different in that it is spirit guides, right? So my spirit guides change all the time because I connect with very cosmic high energies. But spirit guides can be whatever you believe and whatever you connect to, right? So when some people come in, they have very indigenous spirit guides. They come in with really deep indigenous roots. Others come in with very galactic guides, right? They come in with guides that may be coming from sort of off-world places. And we've had that conversation, you and I, Gabrielle, that you have that connection, right?
Yeah,
Even
we
though it
did.
sounds a little weird, it kind
It
of
does. I
resonates.
mean, but you told me that there are people out there, and then you introduced me to someone, and I'm, oh my God, she's just like me.
Exactly, right? So
That
this
was
is,
that
and then
was a little freaky when I got, and she talked like me and she moved like me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm cloned. It was I don't know if I told her that or she recognized herself in me, and then vice versa, but it was, yeah. So
yeah.
but
Yeah, so
yeah,
that
there's,
was your guide, right? Your
yeah, yeah,
galactic guide came through to tell me I'm her guide. She needs to have this information about energy clearing. And there is a person that I connected you to because she's very galactic, right? And so
yeah,
then you
yeah.
met her and you're like, oh, wow, like this is not
I
just a coincidence, right?
yeah.
And so that's the thing. Your guides are very personal. And so I don't call myself a psychic. I don't call myself like a medium. I literally channel your guides. Like they're specific to you. I
Now,
also
how did
channel.
we go about that? How, like you're saying, it's almost like that team that you don't have to pay, the no payroll or benefits you got to give them. How do you get that team to be there, and you can summon them and say, hey, I've got this challenge, or I want to overcome this problem, that you can tap into that intuition so that you're guided in the right direction and you don't make bad decisions.
Here's the thing. I think that every single human being on the planet has this ability. I think that we were born with it. I think every person, this is a new way of thinking. You might have some psychic and mediums from like 20 years ago that were trained that will say things like not everybody has this ability, and I don't believe that. From what I've been shown through my own understanding with my team and through the learnings that I've put myself through, which has been 5 years of really intense learning. I believe that all human beings are built to be able to do this. We are meant to have a team, and that is why life is so hard for us. Let's just be honest. Life is really hard for us. Right?
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
living this
yeah,
way.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
we're
yeah.
so out of resonance with anything spiritual. They're just showing me we're slogging through like quicksand all the time because we've lost this and whatever this means to you. So these readings give you these connections to your guides. Many people have angelics, and angelics come through because we all have healing, and they tend to come in with very loving and very kind messages. And they also come in with messages when you need change, when they very lovingly need to push you towards change, right? And those intrinsic changes that you need to make about the way you speak to yourself, or the way you think about yourself, or the type of people you allow into your life, right? So your
Mhm.
angelics will give you that kind of healing. And then you have your higher self. Your higher self is your extension of your soul. That's you on the highest level possible. And that person, your soul, wants the absolute best for you. So why wouldn't you want to listen to yourself at the highest level?
Right, right.
So
And how
that
do you
is
tap
your key.
into them? How would I go about tapping them,
You have to
tapping into them?
start with clearing the anxiety and the chatter and
Okay.
those all of that
So
that's in your head.
meditation, making your mind go quiet.
If you can get there, but meditation isn't something that everybody can just jump into. Like it's just not, and
Okay.
that's the thing, it's not an easy thing for us. And then you get these people that tout, oh, meditation is the best thing ever, and I want to sit for 2 hours and I get all this information. And then you sit down and you can sit for maybe what, 25, 30 seconds before something pops in. Like, and then what do? You beat yourself up, right? There's something wrong with me. I can't do this. When the reality is, it's not you, it's just all of the things that are in your field. So start with very small doses of meditation. Even, and they're just
Okay.
reminding me of there's something called like binaural beats. There's like, or just like music or tones, right? Things that make you feel very calm. Just listening to that, they're just giving me 2 to 3 minutes is a really nice place to start. And
Leah,
then,
what
Now
kind of sorry,
go ahead,
I'd
Nina.
like to jump in and get a little bit more granular as to what sort of courses you took. You said you spent
Mhm.
5 years. I know that there's lots of energy type courses out there. You have now made it your business. Let's kind of take it back to the entrepreneur that came out of you during this time, because you were in
Yeah.
a service, you gave your life to the service of teaching and to others, and then you went through this crisis, and at the end of this crisis you've got yourself now into this unusual career, and it all obviously happened on your journey as you went to heal yourself. So take us through that, because that's a big transition. Not everybody just wakes up one day and says, I can channel, and even the reference of channel, people really are not truly understanding what a channel really means, and
Really
it's hard to grasp, everyday terminology, that you're opening yourself up to receive messages from beyond this realm. And I think that this has to be more clear. Like, what does that mean? That you're hearing something. It's coming from somewhere. It's an energetic pattern. It's so I'd love for you to expand just a little bit there, because I think it's super interesting.
Okay, so how did I figure out that I could do this? Right? And so I guess this
And
connects.
how you got better at it? Yeah. Did
Yeah,
you
and how
How
take?
I
You
you
got
got
said you
better
better
take
at
at
it.
it, right?
courses and right. So
So what
yeah.
happened was this. So I've always enjoyed psychics and mediums, right? Like I said, I came from a family where there was no disbelief in that, right? My own grandmother was a medium. She just, because of the time which she lived, was chastised for it, right? So that's a whole other story. So I was open all the time. I've always been open to it. So all my life, when things got really tricky, I'd find myself a psychic, never even thinking that it was something for me. And then when life got really, really heavy in those years, one of the things that happened was my doctor said to me that one of the things that, that he's heard is that meditation worked really well for fibromyalgia, which was the diagnosis that they had given me.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'm willing to do anything. Like I really was. I was so, so sick. And I was willing to do anything. I I got myself a copy of some Beethoven something with waves or this and that, and I sat down and started, and it really made a difference. It was like 2 or 3 days and it made a difference and everything went away. In those 2 or 3 minutes, by the time I got to the end of it, there was a peacefulness there that I could almost touch, you know what I mean? And so that
Yeah.
made me just want to go a little longer. And eventually I started to see things when I was in meditation. And so when you start to see things, you start to be like, "Ooh, what's that? Like, what, like what?" And
Mm-hmm.
so as you start to do that, you start to get
Mm-hmm.
more and more information. And I started to realize, oh, okay, I'm either losing my mind or something's going on here. And because I had already been open to, psychics and energy work and healers and all of that, I kind of had an inkling. Then I went to see one, and she's fantastic. This is the woman who I took classes with. So this,
Okay.
I trusted when I got online and started looking. I've always trusted kind of like my intuition. This feels like right, or this doesn't feel right, or whatever. I trusted and whatever. And this one woman popped up, and I listened to her, and I liked how she felt, and I booked a session with her. And within like I think maybe 12, 15 minutes in, she says, you understand that your gifts are like coming online right now. Like they're coming on like a freight train. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then because she was very accurate and very compassionate, and there was a really beautiful connection, I enrolled in classes with her. And these were psychic and mediumship development classes. And it was,
Okay.
I was very sick. So really all I could do was drag my butt up from bed to like put my thing on the tray and, you know, do what I could, right? And sit there and do what I could. I went back to work. I got well enough to go back to work. Gave all of it up, right? Gave it all up. Wanted to go back to work. Crashed again. Knew exactly where I needed to go this time. So got myself back into healing. Like I got myself back into energy healers. I got myself back into seeing the people that I knew I needed to see for my health. I made some massive decisions about letting go of a career that, you know, for fibromyalgia just does not. It's a condition that I feel is so exacerbated by stress and a principle, and just, you know, so I had to give up a career that I loved. And I just kept following my intuition, and I kept taking classes, and I kept seeing healers. And then, you know, I worked with another energy healer from England, and she has like this, I was taking online sort of recording classes with her, because that's all I could really manage, right? I just kept at it. I just tried. I just kept at it. I just kept at it. And at the same time, though, I'm doing all the things I needed to do physically, right? I'm seeing the physiotherapist. I'm seeing the pain doctor. I'm seeing the naturopath. I'm seeing the massage therapist. I'm doing all of those things, right? So I'm not forgetting that. And you're not going to hear it in the spiritual world very much, but I saw a therapist as well. Like, I do believe there's really good therapists out there. I just think that there's a lot of really bad ones. And I was so blessed again because I trusted my intuition, and I actually interviewed people and like really went with my gut. Now I was trusting a little more, right? I was taking these classes, and I was meeting people that talked about intuition and knew so much more than me. And because they lived their lives this way, I'm like, wow, if they can live their lives this way, I can trust a little bit more.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm saying doing therapy at the same time for my mental and emotional stuff. It is a journey, right? It's a journey, and you have to find your way through your journey. One of the things they don't want is for you to ever have to go through that. So when they want you to go to your heart, really think about, what do I need emotionally? What do I need mentally? What do I need physically? What do I need, you know, in all of those ways to be well and abundant? Because that then creates a very different path than the kind of, I have to make money, I have to create followers, I have to, you know, hashtag, I have to this, I have to that. All of that stuff, right?
Yeah, that's not the fun part. That's not like, you know,
that's right. Like,
those
that's
goals
old
in life are not
energy.
motivating.
Old. Yeah. Old energy. Old energy.
Yeah.
So there's tons of classes out there. There are tons of them. Just be careful who you take them from, because there are also a lot of new agey kind of things that are very much about making money and marketing and those kinds of things. Really get honest
the
with
overnight success, right?
Exactly.
And you know, and I I'm going
Leah,
to talk
I
about
have another
Anthony.
healing question. Another healing question, because I love the whole healing side of this discussion. And I'm curious what you think around when people uh, go to acknowledge that they do need to do some sort of healing. And maybe they start seeing energy healers, or there's Reiki out there and just different modalities. But more importantly, when you go to start healing, do you find that you go into like a healing crisis? They call it a healing crisis. And in my life, every time I've gone to heal, I, I have gone through healing crises, which last for many, many days. Like I've referenced being like Jesus going through the 44 days in the desert, because they go into a multiple cycle before I feel well again. And every time I come out on the other side, there's always a learning from it. But I just wonder if that is a normal process for healing, that when you go down this awakening and go down to the root of things, it can take you down a very sick path, a sick in a lot of ways, sick physically, mentally. And is that just part of the process? Is that supposed to happen when people choose? I'm curious what your guides say about that.
Okay, so they give me two words that I actually use all the time: ease and grace, right? We would love for everything, they would love for everything for us to be through ease and grace, because they are of the highest compassion. But the reality is that the damage that has been done, on all of those levels we've talked about, right? Emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, energetic, has been over a very long period of time. And so it's kind of magical thinking to believe that I'm going to be able to, do a little this and a little bit of that, and I'm all better. And it's going to be like all sunshine and roses. It's magical thinking. And that's when they're just reminding me that you have to be really careful about it in the new age community. Anybody that sells you magical thinking like that is really going to, it keeps you going back to them. Just remind yourself of that. They're saying you're very, very lucky, actually, that you experienced the healing crisis that you did, because that means you would have actually gone to two healers that actually knew what they were doing. And they're saying, like, had the power, that kind of worked through them. It doesn't always happen. And they're also saying you were ready. You were ready to accept the healing. And that's the other thing that people don't understand. You can go to some of the most incredible healers, some of the best healers, but you are only going to be able to accept it into you to the level of which you are willing to, right? And so if you're still really afraid of diving into that memory that maybe, in the back of your head has always floated around, and you've never really cried it out hard and let yourself go into the like days and days of heartache, if that's within your field. And they're giving me that as a reference for some reason. So somebody here is going to hear this and be like, oh, ding. If you're not willing to go there, then the healing that you accept will be, we'll do some stuff, but it's not going to go into where it needs to go. But if Anita's saying, holy, that knocked me on my, right? Then Anita was ready. And it's not magic.
I'm ready all the time, it feels like.
Yeah. Now, I had one therapist tell me that, if something's happened to you, trauma, it locked in your body, and the only way you can release it is to go through it. And you have to actually feel it to release it. So this sounds similar to what Anita's saying, the healing process, but then it brings you right down, and it that it knocks you out, because you go through so much incredible pain. But then if you've gone through that, now I'm thinking, if you've gone through that pain, then that means that level of intensity and pain has been stuck inside you all this time. And now it's being released, which is the real awakening, is that, oh my gosh, I let go of something that this is what has been holding me. This is what I've
Absolutely.
been holding as well, or
And they're just
embracing, or in my physical body.
you bang on, and they're just reminding you that those kinds of blocks also block abundance, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
abundance is all
yeah,
about what do I attract and what do I put out and what do I attract and what do I put out, right? And think about it, they're giving me the reference of
yeah.
breathing, right? You breathe in and you breathe out, and the more you do it, the bigger your breaths can get. Abundance is like that. But if you've got these blocks, right, from trauma and heartache and memories that you don't want to go into and feel and release, then you're not going to be able to like attract in the same ease and grace, thank you very much, as you would, because you've got these
Mm.
blocks in your field, right? And people are like, well, why does my energy, why isn't my childhood trauma have anything to do with making money right now? Well, unfortunately, we're multidimensional beings. We really, really are. And we've only been taught to live in this like small little box of physicality, right? Um, so you're very right. Your therapist is actually right. You have to feel it. You have to release it. You have to, whether it's tears, right? And we as human beings, they remind me often in readings that we put a meaning on tears that don't necessarily need to be there. They're showing me like a lever. They're actually meant to be like a releasing device, an energetic releasing device, right? So if you're super sad, you release the energy through tears. That's why when you're super happy, you cry, right? Like it's the releasing of energy. But we get so caught up in what it means, and it means we're weak, or for a lot of people, they're reminding me there's trauma around tears, right? There's something in being afraid to really go into deep tears. And that's something that a lot of us hold. We're afraid to let go into those deep tears. There's something in that. But really, God, it releases these beautiful amounts of energy.
So
Um,
men have a lot more issues than women because men, we can, but men are not in our society allowed to cry.
well, why do you think they're
So
so angry? Because where
yeah,
does the
what is
energy go? It
where
has
is
to
it?
go
Yeah,
somewhere. And so if they can't cry it out and feel it out, the only way they're allowed to, they're saying it toxically, the only way they're allowed to release it is through masculinity. And that's why we're seeing all this toxic masculinity on the planet. Like really, like
yeah, it's
we're
true.
seeing it all
And
the time. It's playing out in front of us.
it
Energetically, it's
really
all playing
is.
out in front of us.
Yeah, yeah,
If we just
that's
watch it.
really wow. That's really insightful. And also because drugs, drinking,
Yeah.
obsessive compulsive disorders, all these coping mechanisms distract the pain,
Yes. Yes.
right?
And
Or
one of the
cutting. They say,
things,
there wasn't cutting when I was a kid. Now everybody's into, you hear about cutting. And I says, well, what is cutting? Cutting is the pain that I have here. I want to feel something else somewhere else to give
Mhm.
myself a break from this pain, and I'll cut somewhere else. Well, it
But
sounds
they
insane,
also
but
remind that a lot of that cutting and that self, it's almost like a virus of self-hatred. It's almost that level of pain. Can you imagine how much you have to really hate yourself to actually inflict something on, and it runs through us on such a subconscious level. And they're just saying that it's a pain that can be released, but we don't understand how to release it because it's energetic. And so you're seeing so many more energy healers coming on the planet at this time, right? And I'm going to say planet because they keep showing me like across the world. And people have to start realizing that it's not really woo-woo. It's just energy, right? So if you believe in electricity, right? And if you believe in
Mhm.
magnetism, like if you put up a magnet and something comes to it, it's energy. It's all energy. It's the same thing. And we run through it. We can very easily say, ooh, I'm out of energy today, right? But to say
Yeah.
you need to have some energy healing sounds very, very woo. Um,
What
so I
about
think that
traditional religion? I wanted to close it. I know we're coming up to the time, but what about traditional religion? I mean, being a Muslim, that is the fastest growing religion on this planet right now. Christianity is I'm not saying it's dying, but it just seems that, it is it's less impacting people's day-to-day lives and the rituals around religion. Does religion still play a positive role in our lives, or is by having these healers come is the time, because religion, where even the Christianity has put down healers and tried to control them, and the witch hunts and everything, that maybe this is a good thing that religion is not so strong. So what are your thoughts? Because there's a lot of conversation around, when religion dies, humanity falls into destruction. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that humanity
It's a
falls.
powerful question.
Yeah, it's a very powerful question, and I'm going to be very careful with my words. I'll be completely honest with you. Remember, I was a principal, so I know how to be
right.
both politically
Was it a
correct
Catholic
and
church?
sensitive.
Was it a Catholic school?
So I'm going to be both politically correct and sensitive. I'm just going to be completely honest and just, in my just
Yeah,
that's
no, I
just
appreciate
being
it.
authentic. I'm going to put that caveat out there. And they're saying, they're giggling, but they're also saying but you've still got stuff you have to say. So here's the thing. This is my perspective and my perspective only. So please don't take it, leave it, tell me I'm crazy. I don't have a problem with it. My perspective is that religion was born out of a need to control. And I don't care sort of what religion that was. I think that we have had beautiful and incredible beings that have come onto the planet to try to save us from those indoctrinations, Jesus being one of them. And I think that whatever you believe about him and the other prophets that you would have across the religions, I think that at the heart of it, it is about compassion. And when we attack that in any way, I don't care if it's because the Bible said so, I don't care if it's because, whatever your God says, when we attack compassion, then we have gone completely against everything that any God that I have ever known would want for us. And so if there is any part of your book that attacks compassion, then I would just question that religion.
Fantastic. Great answer. Great answer. Yeah. Great answer.
For me, that's
how
I feel. And so
Yeah.
I think that much like religion, spirituality and healers and the New Age movement and all of that can be both incredibly beautiful and loving and compassionate and healing. And it can also be very, I'm driven by money. I've only taken courses and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just, I'm just putting there is still that possibility that you can fall into, give me the word, guys, because you're saying they're giving me the word that they're saying like a disharmony, right? You could fall into somebody who isn't in a pure place, and they're just giving me the word charlatan. That's an interesting.
Charlatan. I will use that on another podcast.
Use that word. So charlatans, right?
I was thinking of that word.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah. But you know what? I think what I'm hearing too is it doesn't matter the institution, the organization, the company, or the individual. If they lack compassion for others, and they're just focused on greed, then they're disharmony. And if they have compassion across the board and they have harmony, then they're aligned with the betterment of of humanity. So it doesn't have to be right.
You're a fantastic summarizer. I need to hire you so you can take my stuff and put it all because you and I got to talk after. So anyways, fantastic summarizer. They're just saying that they're bringing it back to business again, because you remember how I said at the beginning they were so excited to be able to bring in the business, come in through the business window. They're saying this is exactly what they are saying needs to happen now in the business world. So if you're trying to bring yourself up to bring in a business, If you are truly out of resonance and there is no compassion for the people that you're trying to buy your product, or who you're trying to heal, or what you're trying, if you like, you gotta get really, really honest with yourself, right? Really honest. Because you can say to yourself, of course I want that. And really honest, guys, because the universe will bring you your vibration. So you want to lie to yourself, no problem. But the universe knows exactly your vibration. Your vibration is that thing in your heart. So you might as well just be honest with yourself and say, no, you know what? I want to make $10,000 a month because life is freaking hard and I want to pay my bills. Be honest, because then you can build from there. You know what I'm saying? You can say, okay, so maybe life's a little too hard for me to like, I got to back up a little bit. Maybe I got to really take some harder looks at myself and how am I going to build this business? It's a tough, they're saying it's a tough, like they're showing me like a microscope. But that's how you get to your truest resonance. And then the universe does some really fabulous things, like really fabulous things. But if you're not honest with yourself, they're gonna bring you what you put out.
And then you get slapped, right? And you're not any happier than you were before because you brought it from an energy of unhappiness.
Well, that's exactly it, right? So just be honest with yourself. Say, yeah, I really want to do this because I want my financial life to be so much better. But I also want my financial life to be better because I've worked really hard. And then maybe I could help people who work really hard. And then you can start finding your compassion again. But you can't find compassion for others until you've found it with yourself. Like you really can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Wonderful. Anita, any other questions before we close up?
I'm just wondering if Deb wants to ask a question.
So Deb is saying such an awesome discussion. Thank you so much. Lots of hugs. Thank you, Deb. Thank you so much for joining.
Deb wants to ask.
Deb, do you want to ask a question?
Ask Deb's.
You can type it in chat.
Something of her team.
Your team. She's Well,
they do have a message for Deb, so I'm going to give that to her while she's thinking. Okay.
Okay.
So they're bringing me in. They're bringing me. So Deb, I know Deb personally, so I'm just going to be honest with everybody. But this is not my team. This is Deb's team coming through. So they're bringing in for Deb a real need for that reminder about tears. So there's a big, huge possibility for Deb to be a massive energy healer for animals, hugely so. And her blockage that she has for the reason of this is just it's actually coming through right now. It's sitting right now, Deb, in your solar plexus, and it's moving actually into your heart, in your high heart. And so that's all confidence, that's all love and trust in the universe, and that's all like loving yourself. So they're showing me the block and the feeling of all of that area. And it's just kind of like crinkly energy there. So there's, they just want you to know that the path is there for you to do this work. In fact, they're saying you kind of gotta hurry up, girl, because the animals on the planet, they're going through it right now.
They need you.
They're energetically, they are going through it right now. And they're actually showing me your animals and how you could actually be doing your own energy work on them. You need to know that you have this and that you are the only thing stopping you. And that going outside of yourself to others all the time, while it's helpful, isn't clearing this area, right? Which is the blockage of why you're not being able to bring in a business. And they need you to be doing this for the animals because the animals are really going through it. And they're also reminding you that the reason that you're there where you are right now among all the animals where you're living is because you need to be spending time outside. You need to be sending your codes out to those animals, okay? So whatever your codes are, whether it's in your meditation, whether it's in just loving your heart, thinking about them, whatever that is, you need to be out there connecting to the animals because they give you something very healing, but you give them something very healing. So they're bringing me in. I don't know my saints. So is there I don't know my saints. So there's a saint that's a saint of animals. Okay, so they're saying for you, don't go the saint, don't go religion, just understand that that's a vibration, that's an energy, that's a love of animals that you also really hold. And when you finally accept that, your healings for these guys are going to go off the chart. So just know that, okay? Whew.
Francis of Assisi's.
Okay.
Assisi?
Is that okay? Okay. So
She says,
don't
I
get
feel
caught
it. So she's saying, I feel it. Thank you, sister. I need to hear this. I'm presented with all this all in time with the animals, and the presentation of them.
Yeah, so she presented with this all the time and the animals in the presentation. Okay, good, good. So there's validation for you then, okay? So
Yeah.
just it's coming. We just got to clear this. We're going to clear this. Anyways.
Fabulous. Is there anything for us quickly? Because I know
Mm.
you got to close. Is there anything that you want to?
So you guys are a force together, okay? You need to understand that together you are a force, you're a duo. You've come together, reason, like very Arcturian, and we've talked about that before. You both have a really strong understanding of the divine masculine is on the planet, which is the going out, the getting the work done, you know, setting up the interviews, doing the podcast, and we've talked about how you guys are so good at that, right? But what you're now also doing is you're opening up the divine feminine, which is the intuition, the creation, the bringing spirit into all of this. And so you both have come together to do this. And they're saying business world needs this. They're giving me the word niche, okay? So if you've been looking for a niche, that's your niche. And something that you can continue to grow because you both want abundance. You both want financial abundance, and they're saying it's okay. You're allowed to want that too, right? They're saying that's okay, but they're saying you have a purpose here, and that's to bring these two things together, like the spiritual and the understanding of compassion and energy and all of that with the business. And so together, this niche, you can really make a lot of good. Bringing these two worlds, they're saying together. So they want you to just you kind of got to take the high road, though, they're saying, because you're going to find people in the business world that are going to kind of make fun of you a little bit because they don't really understand it. That's okay. You're going to find your people because more and more people are opening up and understanding that they need this.
I think that the concern that we've had is how it's going to impact our professional image. Is to go out and blend. And Anita and I have had a lot of conversations around this. And you know how we blend the two, because there's so many charlatans out there. There's so many, you know, that I've kind of, Anita's been more forceful in trying to push in, and I've been pushing back. You know, there's
perfect balance. They're giving me perfect balance. You have to
yeah.
understand you've come together for a reason, right? Because Anita could be, let's bring this person, let's bring that person. I know that because I have my partner who I do my podcast with, and she's incredible. And she's like, let's do this, and I'm just like, whoa, like, whoa. Right? So it's a really good energy, and they're saying perfect balance. You're finding the right people. So just that's that balance that we need, and you're bringing that in very, very clearly. Keep doing that. And they're saying part of it could be for you that, you know what, we are very careful about the people that we bring in, and we do vet them, and we do believe that like they do have something of value. And so you would want to be careful, they're saying, because you that's part of the resonance, they're saying, in believing what you put out and being really, really true to it.
Yeah, excellent.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. That was
Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
Yeah. Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense?
Well,
Does that
thank you
help
so much,
both?
Leah,
Yeah,
for being a guest on Jump Into It. Amazing insights, and just really, I think it brought us to be more humble and more compassionate.
Well, I guess that's what they were saying earlier about what they wanted to bring into the business world, right? And I don't think that
and also to elevate the importance of it, because it's been so heavily overlooked. So thank you, Leah, for your guidance on this, and
thank you for having me.
Hopefully you'll come again.
Anytime you'd like. I love, I love when you guys book with me, I'm just like, I'm so happy to see your name. So like anytime I will come and speak with you guys. I love the energy, and I'm
So
just
Leah, how does
super
somebody
grateful.
get in touch with you? Because I'm sure that our audience
Yes.
wants to know how they can book an
Oh,
appointment.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm not a big social media person. Again, it's not really my frequency. So if you really want to get in
Yeah.
touch with me, you can get me at leah@cosmicheart.ca. And then I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Cosmic Heart Intuitive Services. So, and or
Okay, I'll add it to
my
the post on YouTube. I'll add it to
beautiful,
the post on YouTube. Wonderful.
beautiful.
Okay, thank you for that. We look forward to another wonderful guest and jump into it with the courage and knowledge to bring your ideas to life. Be ready to jump into it. Thank you for listening. Jump Into It. We empower business owners, marketers, and entrepreneurs to turn their dreams into reality. Want to supercharge your marketing efforts? Grab Jump Into It Breakthrough Marketing Guide, now available on Amazon. Uncover how to stop wasting time and money and create effective marketing strategies that deliver results with no more guesswork. Ready to take it further? Join our expert-led training at 360integralmarketing.com and get practical tools you can use right away. Don't miss out. Tune in to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple TV for exclusive insights. Stay ahead of the game. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. With the courage and knowledge to bring your ideas to life, get ready to jump into it.